Matt Larson is next with an update from VeriSign.
Hello. I think this is going to take less than a half hour allotted, and I know that perhaps I shouldn't say this. The cookies are out there, so I won't dally. We have a couple of changes coming up that have, I think, a widespread enough effect that I asked Susan and the committee if we could come and just give an update to let you folks know what's going on, because it's going to affect many of your customers. So here is a list of things. The first is a long-standing, rather annoying restriction that goes way back to the early days of ComNet and org, was that you couldn't have multiple address records, multiple name servers with the same IP address. For example, on the slide, these two A records would not have been allowed. Good news is, now you can. As of late January, you can have as many different name servers, A records, as you want with the same IP address. We have a couple of other changes scheduled, and I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say mid-May. May regret actually giving a date, but this is the scheduled date for these things. The first of these is the removal of what we've internally been calling orphan A records. Again, for better or for worse, probably for worse, the model of the registration system has allowed you to register address records that aren't associated with an NS record. So, for example, on this slide, that final ns3.foo.com, even though it's not referenced by any particular NS records, it's still, unfortunately, published in the COM zone in this case. So this causes all kinds of problems. For example, in the case of the slide that I just showed, if a particular domain is delegated and one of these orphan A records exists, it will occlude whatever domain name might happen to be registered in the zone. So had there been a www, in this case, an ns3.foo.com in the foo.com zone, wouldn't matter what it was, because the com name service is giving out ns3.foo.com. So we get all kinds of a steady stream of mail from people saying, hey, I can't change the IP address of my web server, for example, because misguided folks have registered, either out of the blue have registered a www name as a name server simply to get away with it, or they've done it and named their name server that. So for one way or another, it's been an issue. The other issue is the one that I just mentioned. When a domain is not delegated and somebody registers a name server for it anyway. So in this case, let's say there is no mydomain.com registered, so that domain name isn't delegated. One can still register www.mydomain.com and basically get a free ride. And some people may be doing this intentionally. We suspect other people are doing it simply because they don't know better, and they could be in for a surprise. So I am somewhat chagrined to have to tell you that there are about 200,000 of these today. The current plan is to delete them in mid-May. It's actually an artifact of the way the Registry Registrar protocol works, that these orphan records have to exist for at least a brief moment in time, because you create a domain and you create name servers, and then you associate the name servers with the domain. So in reality, what we're doing is we're just going to cease publishing them in the actual ComNet node zones. So what we're doing to build up to this mid-May Flag Day is we'll be working with all the ICANN accredited registrars to give them specific lists of their specific orphan records that they've registered. Because obviously every domain in our database is associated with one registrar who owns that. We're also going to be publishing a list of all the orphans without listing which registrar they belong to on our VeriSignGRS.com website. That list will be coming soon. I don't have a date for when we're going to have that up. And then doing things like my talking here, letting interested parties know just what's going on, so that hopefully we surprise as few people as possible when this happens. And then something I know that has been long awaited in some quarters, coming in the same time period in mid-May, you will be able to register Quad A records as name servers for your ComNet node zones. they will be returned just as A records are today in the additional section of replies. And this is where I would really appreciate the feedback of the folks in this room. Right now, for IPv4 name servers, we have a restricted range, so we don't let people register RFC 1918 addresses or network blocks that are not allocated to the RIRs. We're going to do the same thing with IPv6, and these are the kinds of IPv6 addresses that we are going to allow. Only global unicast, no IP4 compatible or mapped, and they have to be from a block that's allocated to an RIR. And I would very much appreciate feedback on these choices. Here then is the specific list come mid-May of what you'll be able to register. So if you try and register a Quad A that's outside of this range as a name server for a ComNet.org zone, it will not be accepted. So either now or maybe at the end, if anybody sees their favorite address range not included on there, now would be a good time to say. This is only for registration. In terms of actual transport, we're not planning on making a ComNet.org name server accessible via IPv6 transport until sometime in early 03. That just isn't on the radar for 02. I suppose if that presents a horrendous problem for someone, if there's a tremendous groundswell of desire to have ComNet.org name servers available via IPv6 transport, I would appreciate hearing about that as well. And then this is probably less of an issue, but there are several hundred people who have subscribed to get the ComNet.org, to get access to the ComNet.org zone files. It's actually a very easy process if anybody wants access to them. It's just a link on www.verisign-grs.com. And we currently are generating those files twice a day, and the current format is verbose and makes for incredibly large files. So we're just putting in some optimizations that the rest of the world has been using for years. And here's what they are: just finally using some relative domain names, using $TTLs to avoid explicit TTLs in every record, and eliminating the redundant IN class. So this is what it'll look like. The block of GTL-servers.net A records shouldn't be there; they're out of zone. But other than that, you get the idea. It's just a normal-looking zone file that's a lot less verbose than the current ComNet.org zone files, if there are those of you out there that are getting them. This will be a big deal because most of those several hundred folks are doing various kind of mining and processing on the files, and they have potential to be quite surprised when the format suddenly changes. So we're going to be letting all those subscribers know separately, but if any of you are among that group, why, here is your additional notification. This is probably of less interest, but if there are any ComNet.org registrars out there, the Registry Registrar protocol is being updated. Just a few minor changes. One of them, for example, to support IPv6 addresses. We're going to rev the protocol, and there is a draft currently out there describing that. And then again, on that related topic, the successor to RRP is something called the Extensible Provisioning Protocol. This has come out of the ProvReg ETF working group. The EPP documents that passed working group last call, they're going to the IESG soon, and more information is available on the ProvReg charter page. So those are the changes. Nothing earth-shattering, but significant enough that we wanted to let a room full of operators know about them. And then I have just a few slides of metrics, just in case anybody's interested. Here they are. As of late December, we had 96 active accredited ICANN registrars. There's about double that number of folks who have signed the necessary paperwork to become a registrar, but only 96 have actually passed the test suite to be certified, if you will, to register domains with RRP and do the things that registrars do. So the shared registration system, or the SRS, is the system that what we call the system that the registrars use to register domains. That's showing up better there than on this screen. This just gives you an idea of the total transaction volume. This is on the registration side for the OLTP that handles all the moves, adds, and changes for domain names from registrars. It's really quite an intense system. You can see the 4 different kinds of transactions. The number of failed writes has just skyrocketed as the competition for deleted names or rather domains that are about to be deleted and returned to the free pool. We won't go into economics of domain names with that touchy technical topic, but certainly there's intense competition among registrars to get these domain names. The way they do that is just attempt to add the domain names repeatedly, and that's why there's such a tremendous number of failed writes. Every now and then somebody will get the ad and it'll succeed. You can also see the tremendous number of checks. That's the real-time check for the availability of a domain name that would be performed, say, when you go to a registrar's webpage and go to that prominent box that they all have on the front page that check if your name is available. That's a check. So, in other words, approaching 4 billion queries per month. This gives you an idea of daily volume. Peaking at around 150 million transactions a day. So, really keeps our database folks on their toes. It's a pretty intense system. Here are just some metrics. This is just my own Perl script mining of the current zone files. About 22.6 million com domains, almost 4 million net domains, and about 2.4, almost 2.5 million org domains. You can see the zone files in their current, admittedly inefficient format are quite large, 3.2 gig if you download them all. Well, we compress them obviously, but when you uncompress them, you're looking at a substantial amount of text on your disk. I guess the one thing I found a little interesting was that the vast majority of domains have an average of 2 NS records. I don't know why I expected the average to be higher, but it's not. It's right around 2, as you can see from the distribution there. And then finally, I don't know, well, you can just barely see it. You can see the lines. These are the 13 different authoritative servers for Comet and Org. This is a typical plot for a typical week. The 14th of January was a Monday, so this shows a full 7 days starting with Monday. This is Eastern time, so you can see the peaks during the middle of the business day, and the 19th and the 20th were the 20th and the 19th and the 20th were the Saturday and the Sunday. So you can see that there's a very obvious trend that follows the business day, at least in the U.S. And these are servers throughout the world. The other interesting thing is you can see, and it's unfortunately a really bad color. I guess it's light blue, but AGTLD, which is the first name server in the NSRR set for COM, NET, and ORG returned by the roots, gets routinely twice as much as the next busiest server. So there appear to be a lot of implementations out there that simply take the first NS record in the RR set and use that to send queries to. So we certainly have to provision and keep that in mind when provisioning AGTLD. So if you add all this up, a typical volume is around 100,000 queries per second for Comet and Org. So it's a substantial, on the DNS resolution side, a substantial amount of queries to handle. That's all I have. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take them. So no issues with that list of IPv6 allowed ranges. Silence means assent. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt.